In this video I'm going to be taking the gearbox out of my 2004 WRX STI. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery. Next I'm going to take the intercooler off. So with the intercooler off, I took pitch mount off, the starter motor off, which is down here, and the slave cylinder. That's all disconnected, and these wires here. So under the slave cylinder is this plug. You have to take this plug out with a 10mm Allen key. There's a pin in there. As you can see, there's a hole. You need to put a M6 bolt in there, and then you can pull that pin out. So that's the big pin. As you can see, I've loosened it off. Looks like that, and then the clutch fork then should be nice and loose. So next I've jacked the car up. So next I drain the gearbox oil. So next I'm going to take the drive shaft out. I'm going to use this 32mm socket to take this big nut off. Next I've undone these two bolts that are on here to hold the hub to the strut. I'll just pull that back and that should release it. I just used a socket and a hammer just to push the drive shaft through the hub to loosen it off, as you can see there. So that's the drive shaft out the hub. To get it out, there wasn't enough play with just taking these two bolts off, so I had to undo the bottom ball joint, and I pulled the whole hub up, and then I managed to pull the drive shaft out the hub. To get the drive shaft out of the gearbox, I just used a lever bar and just pushed. As you can see, it just comes out. So after that I took the centre section exhaust out and the prop shaft. The prop shaft's easy, it's just 4 of these bolts, and then it just pulls out from the gearbox. I also took the exhaust downpipe off as well from the turbo, just to give me more room. So next I pulled all this interior trim out, and there was 4 bolts in here which I've taken out for the gear linkage. So this is the other side of the gear linkage, that's the gear stick there, so these 2 bolts here also need to come off. Once you've undone the 2 nuts from underneath, you can take this metal surround off and then push the rubber piece down there, and as you can see there's the gear linkage, and it'll all come out when we take the gearbox out. And this is what it looks like with the exhaust and the prop shaft all off. You can see the prop shaft goes in there and bolts onto that side. As you can see, there's the whole gearbox is all in there. And we need to do those bolts over there, undo these bolts for the cradle, which is there, there, and there, and the whole gearbox should drop. We should be able to pull it off. So I've just undone all the bell housing bolts, and there's 2 nuts on there as well. So all that's holding it on now is the cradle, which is there. So I'm going to support the gearbox with my jack, and then I'm going to undo the cradle and hopefully lower it and pull it off.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And here it is out of the car. Now it wasn't a quick wiggle and a pull, which I was hoping to get it separated from the engine. It took me and my friend 2 hours of wiggling, levering, swearing to get it disconnected from the engine. But there you go. We think it got stuck on these dowels here. They corroded in, and there's another dowel on there. You can see the corrosion on there. Now the other thing we did have to do to get it out, had to take the gear linkage off, which is easy enough to do. There's one of the bolts got onto there, one of them to there, and then this cable onto this pin here. And then once we've done that, we managed to slide it far enough back after a lot of levering, and then lower it out of the car. So in total it took me about 7 hours to remove the gearbox. I didn't use any specialist tools or anything. All the nuts and bolts came off really easily, surprisingly, being as the car's only 20 years old. The only issue I had was removing the gearbox from the engine, as I have already said. Now I'm going to do a separate video on why I removed the gearbox and some other modifications I'm going to make to the car while the gearbox is out. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching.